There's a quiet thief that robs millions of older adults of their joy, independence, and freedom every single day. It doesn't announce itself with sirens or warnings, but it slowly takes away simple pleasures, like walking in the park, climbing a staircase, or kneeling down to hug a grandchild. That thief is knee pain, often driven by osteoarthritis, a condition that wears down the very cushion our joints depend on. But what if I told you that hidden in the foods on your plate lies a powerful medicine chest? Nutrients that can reduce pain, strengthen your knees, and give you back the freedom to move without wincing? I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Today we're uncovering 9 nutrients backed by science that can help reduce knee pain and rebuild your confidence in movement. And the best part, they're natural, safe, and within your reach. When I think about the first time I truly understood the power of nutrition and joint health, I remember a patient of mine named Margaret. She was 67, a retired teacher, who came into my office leaning heavily on a cane. Her knees had been aching for years, and walking from her car to the clinic left her breathless and discouraged. She told me, "Dr. Brian, I feel like my world has gotten smaller and smaller. I used to love gardening, but now I can barely make it to the mailbox without pain." What struck me most was the resignation in her voice, as though this decline was inevitable. But here's what I told her. While aging is inevitable, suffering doesn't have to be. Our bodies are not machines that simply rust with time. They're living systems that respond and repair when we give them the right fuel. The first nutrient that often transforms the conversation is omega-3 fatty acids. Imagine your joints as hinges on a door. If those hinges are rusty, every movement squeaks and grinds. Omega-3s are like oil for those hinges, reducing the friction caused by inflammation. These fats, found in salmon, mackerel, sardines, and even plant sources like flax seeds and walnuts, don't just sit in your body. They actively work to calm down the storm of inflammatory chemicals that trigger knee pain. In fact, a study published in the Annals of the Rheumatic Diseases showed that people with arthritis who consume more omega-3s reported significantly less stiffness and pain compared to those who didn't. Margaret began eating grilled salmon twice a week, and within months, she noticed that walking to the mailbox no longer felt like climbing a mountain. The second key player is vitamin D, often called the sunshine vitamin. Picture your bones as the foundation of a house. Without strong foundations, everything above begins to weaken and collapse. Vitamin D is the construction manager that ensures calcium, the building block of your bones, actually gets absorbed and used effectively. Without enough vitamin D, even if you're consuming calcium, it's like pouring cement onto the ground without ever shaping it into bricks. Older adults often become deficient in vitamin D, partly because our skin becomes less efficient at producing it from sunlight as we age. This deficiency can quietly weaken bones, making knee joints more vulnerable to wear, tear, and painful arthritis. One patient of mine, Carlos, in his early 70s, had been struggling with persistent knee swelling. When we checked his labs, his vitamin D levels were extremely low. After a regimen of supplementation and modest daily sun exposure, his bones grew stronger, and his pain eased enough for him to return to his weekend hobby of fishing. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it was proof that the right nutrient had given his body a fighting chance. Now let's talk about calcium, the partner of vitamin D, and perhaps the most famous nutrient for bones. If vitamin D is the construction manager, calcium is the raw material, the cement and bricks that build sturdy structures. But here's a truth many people don't realize. The body constantly borrows calcium from our bones to keep our muscles contracting, our hearts beating, and our nerves firing. If we don't replace that calcium through food or supplements, the bones become weaker, more porous, and more prone to fracture. And when the bones around the knee lose density, the joint suffers too. Sources like milk, yogurt, cheese, leafy greens, and fortified plant-based alternatives can all help replenish this critical supply. I often remind my patients that calcium is not just about preventing fractures in a distant future. It's about protecting the very framework that supports your knees right now. Imagine carrying a heavy grocery bag with a flimsy cardboard handle. It won't last long before tearing. That's what your knee joint feels like when calcium stores are depleted. The cartilage may still exist, but the bones beneath it can't handle the stress, leading to pain and instability. Margaret, the patient I mentioned earlier, embraced this trio, adding salmon to her weekly meals for omega-3s, taking a daily vitamin D supplement after we confirmed her deficiency, and increasing her intake of leafy greens and yogurt for calcium. 6 months later, when she walked into my office, she wasn't using her cane. She smiled and said, "Dr. Brian, I'm back in my garden. I still get tired, but the pain isn't in charge of me anymore." That's the shift we're aiming for. Not perfection, not the knees of a 20-year-old, but freedom, dignity, and the ability to keep doing the things that make life worth living. The science behind omega-3s, vitamin D, and calcium is not just theory, it's lived reality for countless older adults who learn that small daily changes add up to significant transformations. Think of it this way. Each meal is like casting a vote for your future self. A plate of salmon, a glass of fortified milk, or a walk in the sunshine isn't just food or exercise. It's an investment in keeping your knees strong enough to carry you where you want to go. And here's the hopeful truth. It's never too late to start. Whether you're 55 or 85, your body still listens, still responds, and still heals when given the right tools. These nutrients, omega-3s, vitamin D, and calcium, are not exotic, expensive, or out of reach. They're simple, natural allies waiting on your plate or in your daily routine. They work quietly, like devoted friends, rebuilding strength where it's been lost and calming inflammation where it's been raging. And together they lay a foundation for knees that don't just survive, but thrive. When people ask me, "Dr. Brian, what's the secret to healthy joints after 50?" I often smile and say, it's not just one secret, it's a symphony. A symphony needs many instruments playing in harmony to create beautiful music. Likewise, your knees need several nutrients working together to keep pain away, to protect cartilage, and to allow smooth, graceful movement. Three of the most overlooked players in that symphony are vitamin C, vitamin K, and glucosamine. Let's start with vitamin C. Most people think of it as the nutrient that helps fend off colds, but for your knees, it's nothing short of a master repairman. Your cartilage, the cushiony material that prevents bones from grinding together, is made largely of collagen, a protein that keeps the structure strong and springy. Without collagen, cartilage frays and wears thin, like a cushion losing its stuffing over the years. Vitamin C is essential for your body to actually build collagen. Without it, your body can't stitch those fibers together properly, leaving your joints vulnerable. I often compare vitamin C to the thread in a quilt. You may have beautiful fabric, but without the thread, everything falls apart. I once treated a gentleman named Harold, a 72-year-old who loved to work with his hands, crafting birdhouses in his garage. He came to me frustrated because his knees were so stiff that even standing at his workbench became painful. When we discussed his diet, I noticed he rarely ate fruits or vegetables. He lived mostly on bread, meat, and coffee. I encouraged him to add citrus fruits, berries, and bell peppers into his meals. Slowly, as he gave his body the raw materials it needed, Harold noticed his stiffness lessened, and he regained enough comfort to return to his woodworking. It wasn't just vitamin C alone, but it was a crucial piece of the puzzle. Now let's talk about vitamin K, the quiet guardian of bone and cartilage health. While vitamin D ensures calcium gets absorbed, vitamin K decides where that calcium goes. Think of it as a traffic cop directing cars at a busy intersection. Without guidance, cars crash into each other or end up in the wrong place. Similarly, calcium without vitamin K can deposit in arteries rather than bones, where it does harm instead of good. Vitamin K activates proteins that bind calcium into bones, strengthening the very framework that supports your knees. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and broccoli are wonderful sources, and they provide this nutrient in abundance. There's fascinating research suggesting that people who get enough vitamin K not only maintain stronger bones, but also experience less inflammation in their joints. One study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults with higher vitamin K intake had better joint function and fewer signs of cartilage damage. I like to describe vitamin K as the unsung hero. It rarely gets the spotlight, but without it, the whole performance falls apart. Then there's glucosamine, a compound naturally produced in our bodies, though production declines with age. Glucosamine is like the carpenter who maintains the joint's cushion, repairing tiny cracks before they become big problems. It's a building block for cartilage, and many people turn to it in supplement form when joint pain starts interfering with daily life. While not every study shows dramatic effects, a number of clinical trials have found that glucosamine, especially when combined with chondroitin, can reduce osteoarthritis symptoms and improve mobility. I had a patient, Linda, in her early 60s, who loved ballroom dancing. When arthritis pain in her knees worsened, she thought she'd have to give it up. We discussed supplements, and she decided to try glucosamine after confirming with her pharmacist that it wouldn't interact with her medications. 3 months later, she returned with tears in her eyes, not from pain, but from joy. "Dr. Bryan," she said, "I danced with my husband at our anniversary party. I thought those days were gone." While glucosamine isn't a miracle cure, for some people it provides enough relief to reclaim the activities they love. What ties vitamin C, vitamin K, and glucosamine together is that they each support a different part of the joint's ecosystem. Vitamin C rebuilds and maintains the cushion through collagen. Vitamin K strengthens the bone foundation beneath that cushion, making sure calcium ends up in the right place. Glucosamine helps maintain the very structure of cartilage, preventing it from thinning too quickly. It's as if one repairs the roof, another strengthens the walls, and the third maintains the floorboards of your house. Together, they protect your knee, the house that carries you every day of your life. For older adults, this trio also represents hope. Many fear that knee pain is a one-way street, a decline that can't be stopped. But I tell my patients that even if we can't reverse every bit of damage, we can absolutely slow it, protect what remains, and sometimes even regain comfort and mobility. When you sip a glass of orange juice, pile dark leafy greens on your plate, or thoughtfully consider a supplement, you're not just making a small dietary choice. You're sending a signal to your body that you care about its future. Knee pain doesn't have to write the last chapter of your story. With the right support, your knees can carry you through many more dances, walks in the park, or afternoons in the garden. Vitamin C, vitamin K, and glucosamine may not grab headlines, but in the symphony of joint health, they play music that can change lives. There's a moment I'll never forget from my early years in practice. An older gentleman named Frank came to see me. He was 74 and had worked most of his life as a carpenter. His knees bore the marks of decades of lifting, kneeling, and climbing ladders. He told me, "Doc, I've built houses stronger than mine. My knees feel like they're collapsing under me." It was painful to see how much of his independence was slipping away. But what encouraged me, and what I want you to hear, is that even in his 70s, his body was still capable of responding, of rebuilding, and of finding relief with the right support. Three nutrients often overlooked but immensely powerful in this rebuilding are chondroitin sulfate, antioxidants, and collagen. Chondroitin sulfate is like the moisture in a sponge. Without water, a sponge becomes brittle and tears easily. With water, it regains its bounce, its ability to cushion. In the same way, chondroitin helps cartilage in your knees stay elastic and absorb shock. It does this by attracting and holding water within the cartilage, keeping it flexible instead of stiff and fragile. For someone living with osteoarthritis, that flexibility can mean the difference between wincing with every step and moving more freely. There's also evidence that chondroitin can slow down the enzymes that chew away at cartilage, almost like putting brakes on the wear and tear process. Studies, including one published in Arthritis and Rheumatology, have shown that chondroitin supplementation can reduce pain and improve knee function in people with osteoarthritis. Frank started taking a combination of glucosamine and chondroitin, and within a few months he was walking his dog again each morning. Slower than he used to, yes, but with far less pain. Then we come to antioxidants, which are like shields protecting your knees from invisible attackers. These attackers are called free radicals, unstable molecules that damage cells and speed up joint deterioration. Antioxidants, especially polyphenols found in foods like green tea, berries, dark chocolate, and nuts, neutralize those free radicals before they can do harm. Think of it as sending bodyguards to protect your cartilage from a crowd of vandals. Research continues to show that diets high in antioxidants reduce inflammation markers in the body, which directly translates into less pain and stiffness. A group of my patients who began drinking green tea daily noticed something remarkable. Not only did they report less knee discomfort, but many also felt more energetic overall. That's the beauty of antioxidants. They don't just help the knees, they benefit the whole system. Finally, we arrive at collagen, the protein that quite literally holds us together. Collagen forms the scaffolding of cartilage, tendons, and ligaments. As we age, our natural collagen production declines, and the once strong scaffolding begins to sag and weaken. Imagine an old trampoline that's lost its bounce. The fabric sags, the springs creak, and every jump feels unstable. That's what joints experience when collagen runs low. Supplementing with collagen has been shown in multiple studies to improve joint pain, stiffness, and mobility. In fact, a clinical trial published in the journal Nutrients found that older adults taking collagen peptides experienced significant reductions in knee pain compared to those taking a placebo. I recall a patient named Eileen in her late 60s who loved to swim but had given it up because climbing out of the pool aggravated her knees. We discussed collagen supplementation, and she agreed to try it. After several months, she came back glowing. She said, "Dr. Brian, I'm back in the water. I thought my swimming days were done, but I feel supported again." It wasn't that collagen turned back the clock. It gave her joints just enough resilience to reclaim something she loved. That's the real victory. When you put these three together, chondroitin, antioxidants, and collagen, they form a powerful shield, a repair kit, and a support system all at once. Chondroitin keeps the cushion moist and flexible. Antioxidants protect from invisible damage. Collagen rebuilds the framework. Together, they don't promise you the knees of a teenager, but they offer something far more valuable: the ability to keep living fully, walking with dignity, and choosing activities because you want to, not because your pain dictates it. For those over 50, I cannot emphasize this enough. Your knees are not past saving. Even if you've been told it's just aging, there is still so much you can do to protect and strengthen them. Nutrition is not a quick fix, but it is a steady and trustworthy ally. Each sip of green tea, each bowl of berries, each spoonful of bone broth, and each thoughtfully chosen supplement is like laying a brick in the path toward a more mobile and joyful future. Frank the carpenter later told me, "Doc, I may not be building houses anymore, but I'm building a new way of living." And that's what these nutrients allow. Not the erasure of time, but the rebuilding of hope. Even when joints ache, even when mobility feels uncertain, your body still holds the capacity for renewal. Chondroitin, antioxidants, and collagen simply help unlock it. If there's one message I hope stays with you, it's this: knee pain does not have to write the final chapter of your story. Your body, even now, carries the wisdom and strength to heal when you give it the right tools. Omega-3s, vitamins D, C, and K, calcium, glucosamine, chondroitin, antioxidants, and collagen. Together, they offer not just arthritis pain relief, but the gift of freedom to move, to play, to live. You are never too old, and it is never too late. I'm Dr. Brian. Thank you for joining me here on Wellness Blueprint Over 50.